I'm Samuel Honnold, and this is what's not in the news. Armed United States warplanes are patrolling the southern Atlantic Ocean and have been for some 8 weeks. Right here we see on underwing pylon Harpoon anti-ship missile. This is the new submarine patrol, submarine defense and detection aircraft of the United States Navy. Believe it or not, we have 50 of them in service right now. In addition to these anti-ship missiles, they also have sonobuoys that can be deployed from an internal bay, naval mines, and depth charges. Also, the ultimate killer against a submarine, homing torpedoes. Ostensibly, these planes were searching for the ARA San Juan, a tragically lost ship of the Argentine Navy. There was an explosion heard in the area around the ARA San Juan. Perhaps it suffered an internal failure. Perhaps there was an accident. I would ask, did the Chinese sink the ARA San Juan with all hands? Let's talk about what the Chinese fishing fleet has been up to. Just last week, December the 19th, Chinese fishing ships, more than 40 of them, crossed into South Korean waters off the country's southwest coast. They were intercepted and ordered to leave. They rushed towards the patrol boat that is intending to collide with the patrol boat. And the Coast Guard ships fired warning shots at the bows of the Chinese ships, including 180 rounds from a light machine gun and almost 70 rounds from assault rifles and shotguns. What is not much talked about is that this Chinese ocean-going fishing ship was sunk off the coast of Argentina 1 year ago in 2016. On March the 15th, this ship did the same thing, entered the territorial waters of a sovereign nation, in this case Argentina, also flying unlawfully the Argentine flag. What do you know? It's a false flag operation. It's hard to find a better red herring than a Chinese fisher. But in this case, with their caught red-handed, they actually did this. This ship was sent to the bottom by the Argentine prefecture. Argentina had not sunk a fishing vessel illegally fishing in 15 years. They intercept them, they cite them, they fine them, they enforce civil penalties, they confiscate, they can board and confiscate a ship. But this ship attempted to ram the coastal defense vessel of the Argentine prefecture. This is different from the Argentine Navy. This is a civil law enforcement organization. It's for the purpose of enforcing civil law. Now, there were many news articles in Spanish about this event, and a lot of Spanish-speaking people from many nations weighed in on the matter in the comments. A couple things that recurred in the comments that I would like to address. First, that this civilian coastal defense ship would not be able to sink a 10,000-ton fishing vessel. And that's absolutely not true. First of all, they're armed with the .50 caliber Browning machine gun, fully automatic. Grandpa had these on his Warbird, and they would take out anything in the sky. It's a 700 grain bullet, about 1/10 of a pound. In addition to that, these coastal defense vessels are also armed with the Bofors cannon, 40mm, fires an explosive shell. There is the Bofors cannon on the upper deck of one of these Mantilla class coastal defense vessels. They have a number of these. They were made in Spain for the Argentine prefectura, and they've done very well for them. Also, in the comments about the sinking of this Argentine vessel, many Spanish-speaking people weighed in and said, way to go, we need to defend our nations. The Chinese have been doing this forever. They come in and bully. In fact, it is said that they had a pretty cozy relationship with the former president, Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner. There she is with the Argentine flag. She was a leftist and a Peronist, and was very seriously courting China, was trying to buy some military equipment. There have been some embargoes against Argentina since the War of the Falkland Islands, or the Malvinas, the Argentines call them, in 1982. They've had some difficulty buying military equipment from European nations because of having that issue with Britain. Really the only modern air and naval war between sophisticated powers in the jet age. It's an interesting thing to study, something we should all know about as Americans. The Spanish-speaking people, when they weighed in, they were furious about the Chinese continued hegemony, their continual efforts to come in, back Maoist movements, back guerrillas, back drug-producing leftist armies, really, and have caused a lot of trouble in the Americas, and everyone was ecstatic that the Argentinians have stood up for themselves and enforced their law, stood up as a nation against China. They also said a lot of things about the mothers of the Chinese and eating dogs and so forth. A lot of real degradation. The Spanish-speaking people of the world were very angry with China, and they're not intending to take offenses lying down. Now, the issue of the San Juan, the submarine, there were 44 crew members on board, including the first lady submariner in the history of the Argentine Navy. This is the area where the San Juan disappeared. The families of these crew members dealt with a lot of anguish for days and days. They didn't know if their loved ones were alive or dead. Really, they still don't know, but they've been declared lost at sea. The declaration's official that the San Juan was lost with all hands. This is the edge of the continental shelf, and circled is the point of the last transmission of the ARA San Juan. These depths go down to 20,000 feet approximately. There's a three-dimensional representation. This is what they call el fondo del mar, the abyss of the sea. There are also strong currents there that make it very difficult to search. The Rio de la Plata discharges there. It's a very strong current. There are strong currents coming around the tip of South America and between South America and Antarctica. It's really an ideal place to torpedo a vessel and it never ever be heard from or found. Now the big news is there was an arrest warrant issued for Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner. You see, she allegedly was trying to cover up Iranian involvement in two terrible bombings in 1992 and 1994. One was the Israeli embassy and the other one was a Jewish center. It's called AMIA. That's an acronym for the name, and that's very similar to the Spanish word for love and for friendship. So the Jewish Friendship Center was blown up by jihadistas in 1994, and hundreds of people were injured and many died in both of those bombings. Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner was trying to cover up Iranian involvement, and there's a warrant out for her arrest. Now, after she got out of the Casa Rosada, the pink house or the White House of Argentina, she then went and ran for Senate. Does that sound like anyone familiar? Any lady politicians we know? She, because she's a senator, has immunity from prosecution outside of a 2/3 vote of the legislature. So hopefully that 2/3 vote will come in and we will see her stand for her crimes. The mysterious death of the chief prosecutor who is investigating this matter has just in the last week been officially ruled a homicide and is being investigated as such. So, former presidents are going to jail, maybe even soon this one.